What's up YouTube? Capital G here. It is anime talk time. We are talking one of my favorite animes of all time, Yu Yu Hakusho. I absolutely love this show, mainly because it's an anime that I actually grew up on. Yu Yu Hakusho came to, it started being aired in the US, I think like around 2002-ish, which is actually a decade after the show came out. And you could kind of tell that it was like an early 90s show, but at that time, I was like a teenager in high school and whatnot. So we're going to go over the first arc, which is the Spirit Detective Saga. Basically, I'm going to cover everything from the first episode through Yusuke's first three cases. The fourth case is technically part of the Spirit Detective Saga, but considering it leads directly into the Dark Tournament Saga, and it's the only one that directly correlates with the second major arc, Dark Tournament, I feel like I'm gonna leave it out and leave that for the Dark Tournament Saga review. So, anyways, oh, just a quick note. I know you guys are probably going to hate this. I watched Yu Yu Hakusho dubbed. And I say that because when I first watched this show in the 2000s, it was dubbed, and it was kind of dubbed during a time where like the FCC was kind of lenient. So, even when I watched it dubbed today, they say a lot of like off the top things like asshole and bitch and stuff like that. Stuff you really wouldn't get away with in a dub show now on network TV. Okay, so key story points. The first will be obviously how this show starts out. This has one of the craziest first episodes that I've ever seen in an anime, in which your main character, Yusuke Urameshi, ends up dying in the first episode. He ends up getting hit by a car while skipping school. He's pushing basically just an innocent bystander, a little kid, out of the road. He ends up getting hit by the car and dying. He then meets the Grim Reaper named Botan. I wish I had a picture of her, but I'm sure you guys will see her in the avatar, who is absolutely a cutie. And she tells him that essentially he wasn't supposed to die, and there's kind of a predicament because it's like, it really wasn't your time to die, Yusuke. So she basically informs him that he can come back to life if the god of spirit world basically allows it. His name is Koenma, and Yusuke doesn't want to do it at first, but then after seeing his friends and family mourn over him, he decides that life is actually worth living, and he has to basically go through some trials and tribulations to be granted his life again. He has to actually prove that he's worth it. The second key story point is his first case, and I like the way that Yu Yu Hakusho is formatted. It's formatted, especially during the Spirit Detective arc. It's formatted into very short, kind of like mini arcs of Yusuke's cases. The first case was him retrieving the items back from the three demon yokai. And that is, it's Karama, Hiei, and the third one's name is Goki. I remember that. Basically, they all steal very important items from Koenma, and Yusuke has to get them back. And I like how different the circumstances were that involved Yusuke getting these items back. I mean, two of them were just, evil demon motherfuckers who were attacking humans and just really bad souls. But then you had Karama, who was he was kind of good in nature. Like, he was a demon, but he was actually trying to use the forlorn hope for good. The second case was him becoming the successor to Genkai. That was amazing because it kind of actually felt like it kind of felt like the first arc in Hunter x Hunter, the Hunter exams. Yes, I remember that. And it's ironic because this show is done by the same guy who did Hunter x Hunter, but he basically has to go after this psychic killer named Rando, not like my name Randall, but it's crazy because they have to go through all these crazy tests, and Genkai is about the most ornery, unlikable little hermit you could ever imagine. I mean, she just has an attitude and she's take no nonsense, but you can kind of tell it's like, man, she's really smart and she's really sharp, and not just that, but she's powerful as hell. So Yusuke has to kind of outwit a lot of the other people who are trying to get Genkai's powers. And the crazy thing is, Genkai doesn't even care if she gives it to someone who's evil or someone who's righteous. She's just like, look, I want to pass on my talent. So I definitely like that mini arc too. And then there was the third case, which was, of course, the four Saint Beasts, and they were trying to basically open up a portal between demon worlds and the world of the living, the humans, and that would obviously be a problem. We don't want demons running amok, and they had to travel to demon world. Now, the interesting thing is, two of those demons that Yusuke had already fought, he and Kurama, end up they end up joining up with Yusuke and Kurabara to kind of, get lesser punishments for their crimes committed against against Koenma. And you start learning more about them, and they actually form a good team, despite the fact that no one really trusts Hiei at all, and they don't really like each other or like working together. They actually make a really good team, and there's kind of this instant clicking between them. Like, I know that they wouldn't want to admit it, but they really make a good team almost instantly. What I liked about this show, and you know what, I'm just gonna stop for a second. I do feel like I would be remiss to say, for anybody who hasn't seen Yu Yu Hakusho but has seen Bleach, it doesn't matter what order you watch those two shows in, you will instantly draw similarities between the two shows. Keep in mind, Yu Yu Hakusho came out about a decade before Bleach. Bleach ripped off so much of Yu Yu Hakusho. I have to just get that out of my system, because even as I'm doing this review right now, so many things where it reminds me of the other show. All right, so what I liked, first off, Yusuke as a character. I just absolutely love the guy. He's got so much personality for a main character. He's kind of got this whole juvenile delinquent thing. He's cocky. He kind of likes to fight. He's a troublemaker. He skips school, gets bad grades. He's just a wise ass. He's foul-mouthed, and he's a little bit of a comedian. I heard that in the Japanese version, he doesn't really have that comedian aspect to him, but I liked it. I like how he kind of, breaks Kurabara's balls all the time when they're just like talking, and he makes fun of his own friends, and he'll slap Keiko's butt and stuff like that. I thought that Yu Yu Hakusho had a really strong supporting cast. The characters that I'm obviously talking about were Kurabara, Hiei, and Kurama. I mean, I liked Botan and Koenma also, but you didn't see as much of them, in the thick of things as you did with the other characters. Like, when shit really hit the fan. I guess Botan you really did, and I did like her, but I feel like, first off, Hiei is just, like, if Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z had a brother, that would be Hiei. He is supremely confident. He has a superiority complex over everybody. The dude's ego is as big as the goddamn show. And Hiei he's punch first, ask questions later. The dude loves to fight. He is an awesome character. Like, he's one of those guys where I'm like, okay, I need you not to get killed because you are far too interesting to go away. Even when Hiei was a villain in the show, I was like, man, I kind of hope Yusuke doesn't kill him, because I want this dude to be around. Like, if he's a villain, I want him to be around a lot. Kurabara, and let me actually point out the characters. That's Hiei. Kurabara was really cool too. Kurabara basically has, like, he's a manly man. He's always taking his shirt off. He has very high morals, and he kind of has, like, he can sense, like, spirits and stuff like that. He's kind of like Sato from Bleach. Again, I hate to make the constant comparisons to Bleach, because Bleach just basically ripped this show off. But Kurabara is a really interesting character, and despite the fact that he's a manly man, he can get quite emotional at times. And then you have Kurama, who kind of balances out the entire group. Kurama is soft-spoken, he's mild-mannered, he always keeps his wits, he really never gets emotional, always is calm under pressure. He's kind of the glue that holds the group together at times. He's always the voice of reason. Now, things that I didn't like about the Spirit Detective Saga arc, it was only one major issue. It wasn't even major. You guys tell me if this is a gripe. I think it's about the 4th or 5th episode. They dedicate an entire episode to Kurabara, despite the fact that they've really only shown him about 2 or 3 times in the show for maybe about 20 seconds. So it's like, to me, it seemed a little early to commit that much screen time to a character that your audience probably hadn't really decided if they liked or not. So I would have to say that I really, really enjoyed Yu Yu Hakusho's first arc, the Spirit Detective arc. It just was like, it was fast paced, and the fighting was really, really good. That's actually one thing I want to touch on before I come to the conclusion of this video. The fighting in Yu Yu Hakusho it's really just organic, you know what I mean? Especially when Yusuke's fighting. Like, the one thing that I loved about this show is the show didn't take Yusuke from, you know, junior high punk who gets into fights with, you know, like wannabe gangsters to like Bruce Lee over fucking night because he got the abilities of a spirit detective. A lot of Yusuke's early fights during this arc, he kind of wins off of dumb luck and by outwitting his opponent. Like he rarely ever wins through just overpowering somebody. So, for instance, there's the episode where Yusuke is fighting Goki, and he's really struggling against Goki. Goki is physically stronger than Yusuke, and he has that super tough rock armor that Yusuke can't get through. And Goki's about to deliver kind of like the finishing blow, and he stops to kind of taunt Yusuke. And Yusuke takes like a piece of tree bark or like a branch of a tree or something like that, and he jams it into Yoki's mouth. And he's like, you should have kept your big mouth closed. And he charges up his spirit gun, blasts it straight through Yoki's mouth, through the back of his head, and instantly kills him. And I was like, not only was that moment fucking awesome, but it really shows how Yusuke will find just any way to win. You know what I mean? And how ingenious he can really be when he wants. Again, he doesn't really win off of his pure strength. Sometimes it's just by, you know, coincidence or something like that. So, character of the arc definitely goes to my main man, Yusuke. Full of personality, did a lot of ass kicking, and I even liked him before he became a spirit detective. I liked his whole badass, renegade kind of get up. The dude was just, he was a really interesting, you know, protagonist. I liked him a lot. So, I'm giving Yu Yu Hakusho's Spirit Detective arc or saga, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Definitely a show that I would suggest, especially if you like Hunter x Hunter or Bleach. So let me know what you guys think of Yu Yu Hakusho. Thank you for watching, as always.